and best-selling author of the book Your Other Half. I decided to start this podcast because, in my opinion, relationships are currently not being portrayed as what they really are. Whether you're watching the news or social media, TV, the perception given to people is wrong. And my aim is to talk about what happens in the real world, talk about real stories, and listen to what real people think, do, or go through, as opposed to creating expectations of something that doesn't actually exist. I may not agree with everything that is said by my guests, but it is their chance to express their opinions and their stories. And here today, we are going to talk about something completely different. We have with us Sam Sharma, and we're going to talk about the relationship with money. Hi, Sam.
Hi, Sophie. How are you?
I'm okay, thanks. You?
Yeah, fine, thank you.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. What your story? How did you come to help people with money matters, so to speak, and why is it so important to understand the relationship that we have with money?
So, Sophie, my story kind of starts with me waking up to the fact that I was in the middle of my university and I realized that I was under a lot of debt. And at that point, I was living life by, okay, I'm earning this much every month, and all I need to do is, as long as I can pay the minimum payment, I can afford it. So the value I was putting on affordability came from the how much credit I can borrow, from others, from banks. And I had a lot of pride in carrying the number of credit cards I can have in my wallet, simply to state that my worthiness was kind of describing my own worth as well, that others are
Yeah, it's
willing to
like a
lend me.
status thing, isn't it? Look how many
Absolutely.
cards I've got.
That's right. So it was that moment, and then I was about to embark on a journey where I was supposed to get a lot of money together, and I got rejected a credit because it was just way too much beyond my means and stuff like that. And that was the point when I came across an article on, I think it was the Guardian at the time I was looking at, and it kind of spoke about waking up to your financial reality, and that spoke to me that we've been blinding ourselves with this idea of what wealth is, and how the society operates, and how even the countries operate, and everything is built on debt. It's not yours, you're not really that rich. And the more I started to understand that subject, and the more I started to ask those questions, I was always against that. Having the number of credit cards in my wallet, is that how I should be defining my life, or is that real money? And a friend of mine at that came to my life and he said, look, his car got he lost his car. It got someone damaged his
Repossessed.
car. Yeah, someone damaged his car, and
Right.
he couldn't get credit for the next car. And he said to me that his dad always taught him, if you are really rich, if your car is dead one day, you should be able to go out and buy a brand new car with all money paid up front. And that again stayed with me as the years rolled on, and I kept on thinking, you know can I afford a car if tomorrow my car is just gone? Can I afford a car, or will I just go there and get another credit deal? So while this was taking place, I had started to work in different banking organizations, and working in the banking world, it was opening my eyes to a lot of financial instruments, a lot of different ways of getting more and more into debt, or not being able to manage your personal finances. Uh, and it became more and more clear to me that there's something I need to address here. And what I need to address there is the fundamental model of how we are looking at life and how we are looking at reality, which I need to address from a place of what money means to me, and what my relationship with money is. And at that stage, there were two definitions in my head. Like, my mom always told me that you've got no idea how hard it is to earn money. Now, she was a doctor and she spent a lot of time in a government job in a hospital working as a doctor. So she was a salaried employee. But even then, she kept on telling me, money doesn't grow on trees. It's not, you can't just keep wasting it. On the other hand, my dad, he was a professor in mathematics. He had done a lot of research and he was getting a lot of awards. But he never worried about money, but he also never had money. However, he
Right.
was deeply spiritual man, very, very spiritual man. I mean, he still is very spiritual man. So for me, it was like there was these views of life where I had these,
But very,
not,
very different from the start.
yeah, so they were, I won't say they were conflicting views, but I knew they were dysfunctional views. Because on one hand, we have money to buy anything we want. Yet at the same time, we are being told that, you know, as long as I can sleep peacefully at home, I don't care about the amount of money we have. Or look at these guys, they've got so much money and they can't sleep at home because they're always constantly worried about someone will come and rob them, right? So that kind of mindset where we were constantly in fear of money, or constantly fighting over money, or constantly acknowledging the fact that money is really hard to make, that was keeping, despite having all the right kind of professions and educational qualifications, the blueprint my parents had kept them into a very lower middle class kind of lifestyle. So that became very apparent to me that there was something going on there that was not getting them the results in life they were looking for. Yet at the same time, with me, I could see I'm getting all this success academically, plus in my profession, I'm rising. And at the same time, as I'm rising in my profession, I'm getting more and more in debt, right? Now I know for a fact that my parents never ever had debts. Credit cards was
I
not
was
a
just about to
thing.
point on that because I do think that there's a massive society thing, especially in the last 20 years, because I think that, even 20 years ago, it wasn't as marked as it is now.
Yes.
I'm going to mention Amazon, just the fact that if you've got Prime, sometimes something can turn up half hour later.
Yes.
So we're so used to having it now, like literally this minute, and delivered to your door, that all of a sudden waiting to say for a car.
You're absolutely
What's
right.
the point of that?
Yeah, and that's the change in the culture that's come, where you have been sold an idea that delayed gratification is a bad thing. So the question that's been taken out of your brain is that you're not been given the time to think through a decision whether it's good for you in long term or it's not. So that
And I think there's also a sense of entitlement.
oh god,
People
yes.
feel that they are entitled to have this, that, and the other, and it's like, why? It says who?
Well, it goes a little bit deeper. So there's an old saying: if money doesn't have purpose, it's always open to abuse, because money itself innate it doesn't have any power over us. It only reveals who we already are deep within us. So if you are a very charitable person with more money, you will carry on doing more of charity work. If you have wrong kind of habits with money, you like to buy more alcohol or more gambling, those kind of habits, you're going to do more of that, because money is a neutral instrument which will reveal more of who you already are. So when we come from that place, we start to look at people's models of life are designed to serve their needs. And if you understand their needs, their behaviors will always make sense. Okay. And if their behaviors are making sense, those behaviors are either working in some sort of a dysfunctional way, which was a strategy they learned while growing up, while they were suffering from teenage pain, going through different changes, and they learned certain behaviors. Okay, if I buy the next game, if I buy this, if it numbs my pain of my teenage. So what can I do about it? So the idea was, okay, go and spend money. And that behavior stayed with them as they grew up and started to earn more and more and more money. So their past patterns is the only way they have learned, or how to manage their emotional states. And they carry on repeating the same patterns, caught up in the same loops of spending money, investing money, earning money. Despite earning so much, all they look at, can I afford the minimum payment? So they keep following someone else's model of life, or the idea of life is only borrowed life. So these were the realizations when I had. I knew one thing for sure, that I didn't want a mortgage, and I was very very clear that I don't want a mortgage. And if that's the biggest debt any individual can get in, I need to make sure that there is a strategy I can come out where I don't borrow any money. And when I looked at these whole models of how the different credit card companies were working, what I knew was I needed two things. One, I needed discipline of my mind to manage a structure, to put a plan in place, to manage a structure which will allow me to keep meeting minimum payments at 0% offers and keep rotating credit cards. I did that so efficiently that I was rotating about 70 cards, and thousands of pounds were rotating over the years, and I managed to get myself into a property without paying anything to any
It's
mortgage
interesting you
companies.
say that, because it's exactly the same technique I used to pay off a mortgage quicker.
Yeah, and this is the differentiation was that I put blocks in place in my planning strategy. You can afford anything you want. That's what I simply believe in. You can afford anything you want as long as you plan for it. Okay, which means if I want something today, I'm going to go into my forecast and I'm going to put it in my plan. And then I'm going to work out in numbers which month or which year will I be able to likely to afford that. Now the
Yeah.
chances are, if I really really need it, I will get there and I will have it. If I don't need it, then because of delaying that gratification and putting plans in place, I may realize that that's no longer a viable purchase for me anyways. So it's easy for me to detach myself from that object, which is an artificial imposition of mind more than anything else, and let go.
So,
Yeah.
how would you define a healthy relationship with money?
Uh, so this all comes from our childhood beliefs, what we heard. So let's say if our parents were one of the biggest reasons they found that when couples break up is because of the finances, is because different partners have different languages attached with money. And my research found out that a lot of the money was provoking different emotions in different genders. So for, again, not everyone, but most of the females were, I found that they see money as a form of security, and that's tied down to their maternal instincts to, to protect and to nurture a family, so they have a safe secure environments to do so. On the other hand, for males, a lot of the, again, not generalizing, for most men it was about power. It was about what I can do with that money.
But I think it's a bit, if you go back to cave times, which I always
Yes.
say, the woman was going to pick a man that could hunt and that could
Yes,
feed her
that's
around
right.
a nice cave, basically. And he was looking for someone who could, like, give him
Yes,
a child or
absolutely.
some form of a,
Procreation,
line.
yeah. Hmm.
And Queen said cave.
Yes, 100% true. And that being the case, these two definitions, because they are innately present in us, when we come in a relationship, these two definitions can be the cause of conflict itself. So if one of your partner's behaviors are out of hand when it comes to spending, the other partner might have a goal. So this is where the communication comes in. This is where you guys need to come together and think, is that what we want as a family, as a couple, as a unit? Where are we heading towards? Are we saving together? Are we putting a little pot in together? So when you get conflicts like with different behaviors in different partners towards money, and you put them two together, this is one of the core reasons they start to have problems, because each one of them have formed their beliefs while they were growing up. So if they have seen their parents argue over money, they associate money to be the root cause of arguments in a relationship.
Yeah.
If they've heard their parents talk about, okay, money is the root cause of all evil, like one of the exercises that I do with people, I ask them, okay, finish the sentence. Rich people are, and you hear all sorts of things. Some people say rich people are intelligent, some people say rich people are bastards, you name it, they will call them names, right? Now
Yeah.
here's what happens. We always, our behaviors are always in line with our beliefs. We never go against our belief systems. That's because that's our primary need, that's our driving force. So as we come into money over time, we, because we hold, our blueprint is that, let's say rich people are bastards, one of the two things happen. Either A, you become a bastard, you become arrogant, you become all those things that you've defined the money, people with money to be like, or you get rid of that money to go back to, like, I don't want to be a bastard, so I rather get rid of this money, right? So your behavior will always be in line with what you're believing in, but it can manifest in any form. It can take different forms to manifest out of you, right? So and this same thing comes true when you're in relationships. These definitions of money, how we save, how we invest, how we work towards something, how we earn, all of these are potential places of conflict if you don't have open and honest conversations. Emotional honesty is the core in understanding why someone's behaviors are driven.
And I think this is the thing, it's so difficult, first of all, to meet someone that you are physically attracted to in any way, shape, or form. Then you've got to actually develop feelings towards one another. Then you've got to be able to live together.
Right.
And I think this is where people, they're sometimes so short sighted and they don't look at these finer details that are actually essentials to make it work.
Well, it depends. What is it that you want to make it work? I mean, these days, a lot of people are just meeting for the sake of just having someone on the other side of town, but they don't want to live together. And one of the reasons they're doing that is purely because they don't want to be involved in each other's financial behaviors. because that's cause of so for, let's say, if a man goes out and spends on gambling, that's a cause of a threat to the female partner, because one of the core primary needs of her is to feel secure and safe, and whereas man is threatening her position, her existence, by spending all that money.
But you see, this is the thing, isn't it? It's more because it's hidden. So the person then also feels like they've been lied to. Because I also know some female friends who, when they go shopping, hide the bags because they don't want their husband to know that they've bought yet another top. And then when he comes out at some point and he says, "Oh, I didn't know you had that. Oh yeah, I've had it years. I can't believe you don't remember that."
Yes.
That's not right either. There's an element of deception in both cases.
So that's a very interesting point you brought, that I do work with a lot of couples in terms of the financial side of aspects, and this is a very common area where I will be told by one of the partners that, I've got this debt on credit card, but my husband doesn't know about it, or my wife doesn't know about this. I'm just sorting it out on the side, by myself, and that is the case. But to me, that part is an acknowledgement that they realize that there is something they need to fix in their life. To come to a realization that this is an area in my life that I need to address, that itself is one of the biggest areas of self-awareness. So for me, from that point, it's not a matter of me pulling him down or pulling them down and saying, no, you need to open up. For me, it's very important that you have a plan and you stick with a plan by putting routines in place that holds you accountable. You also need to have a pillar or something out there in the future where you are working towards something as a team. You are allowed to have your own personal monies and personal pots where you can do whatever you like with that money. You should have that freedom to give yourself rewards when you have met certain goals. You should have that, because money needs to work for you, not against you, right? But these kind of
Give me 2 seconds. I need to go and open the door.
Sure.
Well, not open the door. Hang on. I've lost the stopwatch as well, because I knew that was going to be an issue potentially, but I didn't think it'd be such an issue so quickly. I need to get my keys out. Hang on.
Sure.
Because I've got a friend coming round, and 17 to 29. I need to cut here. I've got a friend coming round, but obviously we're doing this, and he's going to turn up when we're doing it. So I was like, "Oh, you need to get your safe in," and I'm thinking, "Oh, the keys out in the door. You can't."
Sure.
So carry on.
Well, maybe perhaps you can ask me the question again or rephrase the question, then I will get back in the flow.
Okay. I've lost it now, haven't I? We were talking about the partners, deception, hiding.
Okay, so this is very interesting, the choice of words you use there. So when you use words like deception, manipulation, hiding, there's a very massive negative connotation to this whole meaning. I don't associate any meanings when it comes to experiences in life. The way I see that, everything in your life, if I remove all the labels and I see everything as learning and development, the journey that people need to come upon is A, awareness that yes, there is an issue I need to address, and B, okay, yes, I screwed up in the past. Tell me now, what do I need to do to move myself forward? That to me is more important than seeing that as a manipulation or anything like that, because all of us, we need to remove this judgment, and this is where the human society goes wrong. We put a lot of judgments on different things, but we forget to understand that we are all driven by human needs. And what are our needs? There are 6 needs. Need to feel certain, excited, love and connection, significance, growth and fulfillment. We are all driven by all 6 needs, but one of those 6 needs is our driving need that drives all the behaviors behind it. That's why if you understand someone's need, you will understand their behavior. Even in criminals, if you understand their unmet needs in their childhood, whatever their pain in the teenage was, their childhood pain become their adulthood dysfunctionalities.
Let's also not forget that, one of the NLP presuppositions, which says that behind every behaviour there's a positive intention.
Absolutely.
It shows that it's a positive intention for the person, not necessarily for the recipient.
Yeah, recipient or the society as a whole. But if you remove all these labels and try to understand the person from a place of his primary need, then all we need to work at is the needs not going anywhere. That's the reward he or she is seeking. But what we can work on is the routine part. So when the prompt takes place, when the urge takes place, it's the routine they go through that can be changed in order for make that into a healthy routine rather than an unhealthy routine that will tie them down to the same reward they are seeking. So that's called the habit loop. In the habit loop, we just break the habit down into three different sections. We look at the prompt, we look at the routine, we look at the reward they are seeking, and the reward is nothing but the need. So when it comes to in a relationship, when it comes to hiding something, uh, it's a tricky one, because yes, in certain cases you need to hide because you want to fix something, as long as you're addressing that issue. In other cases, it's a matter of, yes, I screwed up, I'm being honest about it, yes, I screwed up, now I need support to make this happen. It all
Yeah.
depends upon, I think money is one of those things. You need to be very upfront about your spending habits even when you start a relationship. That, look, I have got, it's like saying that, let's say example, okay, I don't drive. Sorry, I can't pick you up for a date because I can't drive. It's the same thing saying I can't drive, and by the way, I have got 30 grand of credit card debts. I'm just putting it out there. This is who I am. So you take it or leave it. From this is the place where I'm coming from. If you're looking for something serious with me, you need to be aware of these facts, that this is where I am. So at that stage, you're giving your partner a choice, that, look, now you know all about me. There's nothing hidden there.
But I think this is the thing. We go back to judgment.
Yeah.
And I think it's also about self-acceptance, because I can think of 1,000 people who would never come out with that straight away, because they'd be so scared that they'd be judged just on that,
Spot on.
as opposed to who they are.
Yes. And this is very fascinating subject you said, because yes, people never ever talk about financial problems because they fear judgment. Now this is really funny. How come you've got a society where you've got these massive institutions feeding you with all the ideas of how do you spend your money? You do go and spend your money, and the last aspect that you mismanage your money is judged. Hang on a second, go back to the schooling days. When were you taught how to manage your money? So how are you getting judged on something whereas you were never ever given the skills, not in your household, not in your schools, not in universities, on how to manage money? Yet the
But I
society.
think there's also an element where people feel that money is success. So let's just say someone who maybe is not earning as much as they could, or because, for the various reasons, because of age, because of whatever.
Sure.
They will feel that they're not maybe as worthy as someone else. It's not right, but I think that, we've all at some point maybe faked that.
Yeah. I think what I found is, this does apply to a lot of high performers as well. There's a massive element of low self-esteem, but they disguise that as ambition, and running after money is nothing but trying to fulfill their self-worth. And they have this is one of the things in imposter syndrome. We look at that they are massively hiding behind the fact that they are actually quite hollow inside. They've got this massive hole that no one can cover. So what they tend to do is they throw themselves at work and rather not deal with the emotional aspect of it. And this is so true in relationships as well, in which relationships become stagnant when the partners, they just know one way of life, which is just, as long as I'm working, as long as I'm getting bonuses, as long as I've got money coming in, I am valued in front of my partner. Or in other cases, when both partners earn money, they start to compete with one another. Who earns more? Who earns less? That's also a place of conflict when you're in a family environment. That's a massive problem. Because if a child looks at that and says his mom or dad are competing against the other partner, because they're trying to better off, then, no, I will prove to you how much I can earn potential. Suddenly you've got a massive crisis there, isn't it? The child will associate money as the root cause of the problem.
And I think, there was probably still is, there was a campaign of advertising recently about money and how it matters to talk about it. And, it was quite evident, I know obviously it was an advert, so it was set up to portray or pass on a certain message. But people were saying how they find it hard to talk about it with their families when they're struggling or whatever.
Yes.
Because they feel like they let people down. What do you mean letting people down,
That's true. The thing is, the endemic, this whole thing has gone so far now with loads of families. The whole structure, it has been put in such a place where it's really hard for people to get back on the right track. But my message, like when I wrote the book, The Money Life Coach, it was all about instigating the right kind of message to the people who are just starting their careers, who've just starting their jobs. They started to earn money. They've come out of university with massive debt around them, and they've been told, okay, just pay the minimum amount when you earn X amount of money. It's not the right model. That's the
No,
point I'm
I
making
think
here.
the thing that's difficult as well, to be fair, and that's for relating for everything, you know, social media does not help, because sometimes, it's not even sometimes, you're continually unconsciously fed information about everybody else's relationships, money, because they go on holiday, because they're out, because they're this,
Yeah.
because they're that. So you're continually comparing yourself as well to that.
You're absolutely right. Keeping up with the Joneses is one of the biggest disease in our society, right? So we are always looking up to someone having a good time, but what we forget is that social media is nothing but a self-edited versions of these people. It's only those little moments that have been self-edited to make it look like the awesome, the biggest occasion in their life, right? But you might be already having it, these equations. You just don't capture them on social media. It doesn't mean they're any less. Okay, so knowing what to value in your life, what where the worth comes from, where the deep self-esteem issues are, knowing your existence, your identity is the core place where the values around money comes, and how you can change these definitions. As I said to you, my dad was pretty much same qualified as I am. How come he never had as much as money that I've been able to do? It's all came down to a belief system that he had. His belief system was simple, that spiritual people, they don't need money. I can show you hundreds of spiritual gurus in the world who are multi millionaires. Okay? So let's not tie the two things together, that spirituality and money are two separate things. If money is energy, all you're doing is with those that energy, with that money, with all that funds, you can go and recreate more of the things you're doing by impacting hundreds of others' lives all there. So money is nothing but a means to live you, to help you, to serve others. You see, there are Tony Robbins talk about this, that we are driven by only two emotions: emotion of pain, and emotion of pleasure. And we are caught up in these cycles of pain and pleasure. So we will do something to avoid pain, and we will do other things to seek pleasure. You will keep on caught up. 99% of the people are caught in this loop of pain and pleasure, pleasure back to pain. So I'm feeling a bit down, I got dumped, I will start to eat chocolates, I will feed myself wine, I'm doing all these things, a lot of pain. I'm managing the pain through eating or through other means which are not so healthy. Then I go and I get diagnosed that I've got a diabetes now. Okay, suddenly that pleasure of eating chocolates and everything turned back into pain. So you're caught up in these loops of pain and pleasure unless you learn to move forward, which is you need to progress, you need to move forward. Now this
So,
is where
sorry, yeah,
yeah,
interrupt. But like, for instance, if someone's listening to this and for whatever reason, they're not making enough money, let's say,
yeah,
and they're
okay,
listening to this and belief system and all the rest of it, thinking, so what do I do then?
yeah. So I mean, if you're not making enough money, so there's a classic case where your skills are out of date. That's the first place to look at, is what skill set am I holding that A is in line with my passion, and B, it earns money in the society. So you could have a skill of let's say singing a song, or being a bathroom singer, and you've spent most of your life singing in the bathroom, but that was a real talent. I mean, look at the, I think the Susan Boyle story and stuff like that. So these people, they combined the two things. One, they gave themselves an opportunity, get the right skills. If you don't have the right skills, develop the talents and the passions that you already have. This is where I call the genius level. You already have it, right? It's a matter of, it's like a glass ceiling. You can see through it, but you can't quite touch it. And the moment you break through those ceilings and you start to do things that comes to you most naturally, there's no resistance. And if those skills or talents or genius levels have got a demand in the society and people are willing to pay for it because it adds value, you're already in the right game. All you need to do then is develop that talent, to hone on to those talents, to attract more and more money, because the amount of money you make is in direct proportion to the amount of value you create for others in the society. You see, when you cut me out earlier, I was taking you exactly to this point. You see, the pain and pleasure, you can break those cycles through progress. Progress is nothing but updating, upgrading your skill sets, personal development, learning different skills, what's keep up with the market. You're moving forward, because By progressing forward, it leads to happiness. Happiness only comes when you're moving forward, whether it's relationships, whether it's jobs, it doesn't matter. Because it's the happiness that leads to fulfillment. And the idea of fulfillment, look at the word fulfillment, you're full. And when you are full, when you have too much of what you already have, you will easily contribute to others' lives, right? And that's human design. This is what people, where people have missed out on, that human design was always to contribute to others. That's where the real wealth comes from. And it was never
Mm-hmm.
about pain to pleasure, pleasure to pain, pain to pleasure, pleasure to pain. It was never about that. It was always to move us
So
forward.
I'm still this person who's listening and screaming to want to ask more.
Uh-huh.
And I want to say, yeah, but what if I'm employed? I've got money coming in, not
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
What do I do? I'm already working 3 part-time jobs or whatever. Do you know what I mean? One thing to say that there's a lot of people that can't see the woods for the tree, so to speak. I know that sometimes I say, sometimes I get to say you're looking for a cake. So you're just looking for the cake as it comes, as a cake. And you might miss out on spotting that just by your cider here. There's some eggs and some flour and some sugar. And actually all you've got to do is put all these things together and then you get the cake. But I
Okay.
also get that some people find it really hard to recognise how they can get more money.
Okay, so the first thing to understand is it's not about getting more money you need to look at. That's the wrong question to start with. I need more money. First, you need to understand who you are and where you need to start from. What's the objective you want to achieve with all that money you want to earn, right? Now, if you have got all you're looking for is a good lifestyle, the foundation of financials start by facing up to the reality. You need to know as you are, where do you stand with money? Because if you don't have a starting point, you don't know where you're heading. You will repeat the same patterns because you don't know. So, for example, let's say I'm in £1,000 debts. There is no difference between being in £1,000 debts paying £200 a month or being in £1,200 debt paying £210 a month. Because this is how people will think. They will think of the minimum payment. So to them, the bigger picture doesn't matter. And what I'm saying is, bigger picture is what matters. When I woke up and I realized that I had these cards and these loans, I was at that point, I was about £43,000 in credit card debt. And I had none of this financial awareness. And I'm not talking about the minimum payments here. I'm talking about the full amount that was upon me, right? Which means if I want to go and take a mortgage out, my credit worthiness will be seen from the place of how much credit is he exposed to already, which means he can, even if he's paid £20,000 off and my credit limits are up to £50,000, I'm still exposed to that 30 grand. I can still go and spend all of that. So
Yeah.
credit companies are very aware of it. So to answer your question, the first part starts with acknowledging where you are. The second step is, where would you like to be? This is where I am. This is where I like to be. This is where we come into planning. Planning is nothing but having mini projects, just mini goals. All you need to do is just create that 1 degree of change, just a little change. 2 train tracks, 1 degree apart, will end up thousands of miles apart as the distance rolls, right? It's the same thing. 1 degree of change. We plan our steps, where we are to where would we like to be. We look at what skills or talents we have that we can upgrade. And finally, we look at what's the business opportunities we have that can allow us to have a scalable business option out there. These are the
But not everybody wants to have their own business, though.
no, we are giving few options here. That's why I said upgrade your skills.
Right.
That's one option. You can ask for a promotion by taking more responsibility. If the employment is your route, you can look for other jobs by continuously being in the cycle of learning and development. There's an old saying, the more you learn, the more you earn. And again, once again, I'm only telling you the model that worked for me. I'm not talking about every single one out there is going to be this way, because what's going to get in the way is, irrespective of what process you follow from any author, what's going to get in the way of is your own specific needs. It's your own mindset. Irrespective of the process, what's going to get in the way is it's your own mindset. That's why the part of the money life coaching process is to address the mindset issue, is to set up understanding of the right scripts, narratives that are running in your head around money. And how do we switch that around? How come the value you can put for £10 on let's say £10 on a haircut is too expensive, whereas £10 on some food is
Yeah.
a pizza, it's okay, right? You see how two things, we place It's the same cost, but we place different values to those things. And now just extrapolate the numbers. I can talk about 100 pounds, I can talk about 500, 5,000, right? It's the same concept. It's your intrinsic value plays its cards all the time. So by upgrading my skills, all I'm doing is A, I'm increasing my intrinsic value, which means I'm comfortable with more money. I'm okay to ask for more money when I'm going in a job, when I'm looking for negotiation. I'm okay because I believe I'm that much worth. The skill that I'm bringing to the table is this much worth, so I won't go any less. So being able to push, able to have a roadmap to A, come out of your bad debts through planning, because that's not part of the strategy. Let go of those beliefs and the behaviors that are causing us self-sabotage issues. Put right concrete steps in place to push us forward. If you like, upgrade your skills, ask for more responsibilities, start doing the work at a senior level before you even get the title is the easiest way to get promotions, because you will be seen. You will get noticed sooner or later. And the finally, that if you can do your own business, if you want to learn, develop new skills, one of those skills could be, yeah, I want to give it a shot to have my own scalable business. And nowadays there are so many business opportunities. I mean, even the UK government is promoting small business owners to come on. You are the ones who's going to lead the economy forward, right? So with so much support in place for small business owners, opportunity to earn money that is in proportion or in line with your three things, three values: intrinsic value, market value, and the perceived value. They all come together to define your pricing. When things are in place already, all you are doing then is you're positioning yourself as an expert in your field. It could be any field, by setting your business. So again, it's, I call this that like a triangle. So you've got upgrade your skill is one for employee or employees, that kind of opportunity to make more money, asking for more responsibility. You've got a scalable business options, and you've another option is that you look into investments, portfolios, properties and all that. That's another way of rising up the ranks. But all of this sounds amazing, but these are the next steps. The first step is self-awareness. That's where it all starts. You need to know where you are as you are and remove the judgments. Just come to an acknowledgement. Don't bury the letters, the red letters coming through the doors. Face up to them. Face
And
up
I
to
think
them.
this is true for anything, really. There's so many people, because they don't like, as I said, pain, pleasure, we don't like to face up to what hurts. And that's not just with a red letter coming through the door. It's if a relationship is not working, we're scared of having that one conversation. It's for everything.
Yes,
and I was going to say something, it completely escapes me now.
So you're absolutely right in terms of when something is in pain, we rather avoid the pain, right? Whereas the part of work that I do with people is I make pain the reason for you to act. Because for me, pain needs to represent, why am I doing what am I doing? What's my vision with it? That's because I'm hurting. So WHY, what hurts you? If I come from that plate, what hurts me, I'm more likely to get up and do something about it. Because let's say you're having headache, and I ask you, Sophie, would you like to come for a movie? You're like, nah, I'm having headache. So you rather fix the pain first before you seek pleasure. So why can't I use that same pain to instigate you into taking action? Right? That's the theory. We are turning this whole thing around and turning into the areas of performance psychology, that the potential that you hold, it's always there. You just need to cross that boundary of fear and use the pain to instigate, to put you into momentum, to get you into taking the right actions, and seek help when you need. Get to coaches if you need. They go, coaches like you, me, we can shorten the years of people's life when it comes to these struggles, because of the knowledge we
But this
hold.
is it, isn't it? There's so many people that, they know they're prodding, they're in the little hamster wheel and they're going absolutely nowhere, but they keep on going, and, there's no change, it's limbo, it's always the same thing, but they don't do anything about it.
That's
And they're
right.
denying happiness and success
Yes.
and just being happy,
Yes. I mean, mind you, success can sometimes come from different definitions to success itself, right?
Oh, yeah, that's what I mean. By success, I don't just mean, financial, or even,
Yes.
I just mean success as in getting what you want.
Yeah,
That can
yeah.
just be, something simple.
Something simple, right? And that comes from the hunger and the drive we carry as specific humans, carry that drive or hunger. And I think that comes from the place where our human design was always about taking action. Even when you're sitting there doing nothing, you are breathing, right? You are still taking that action unconsciously, though, because that's part of your system. It's doing it for you, right? We were never ever designed. Life is only present when we are moving. Nothing ever happens if we don't move. Movement is the source of life. Breathing is one of the movement that's taking place of the air, right? So if you really understand the insights and you really look at human existence as a design of what this is all about, you will see that we can't escape action. Even if you give up everything, you still have to eat, right? Where will that come from? You'll still have to use your hands to put the food in your mouth. So you can't escape action, so you might as well embrace it. And that's the point.
It's fascinating to talk about these things, but we're kind of running out of time now. So just to wrap it up, what would be if we just say someone wants to improve their own situations, give us 3 simple steps. Just summarize what are the first 3 things we need to do.
Okay, so when it comes to the money life coaching, first things first, you need to understand that money without life and life without money are meaningless. So stop running away from money, start opening yourself up to money. So start looking at your book, start looking at the letters. You need to know on weekly basis where you are financially. Step number 2, get yourself a budget. Get to know where you're spending money. Break it down. Put different categories through. There are millions of budget online available to all of us. Just download one of them, play with it. You'll get hang of it. It's very, very easy to use these things. Or get some help from Citizen Advice Bureau and all these places where people can help you with these things. Okay? You need to know where you are. Third thing, you need to know where you're heading. Okay, life is only present in the moving. So where am I going in 12 months from now? How will life look like in 12 months from now, in 24 months from now, in 36 months from now? And we need to work our way back from there. Where I see myself in 12 months, I need to know where will I be in 6 months to be there in 12 months. I need to know where will I be in 3 months. I need to know where will I be in 1 month. This is called planning. Again, if you can't do it yourself, get a coach, get help, because this is what our design is. You need to have something to look forward to drive yourself forward. But it all comes from becoming self-aware, becoming aware of your finances where you are, then having a dream, a vision, and then putting plans in place before you go into the execution mode of, come on, let's make this happen. And I promise you this, the more you get addicted to taking action, the more you will get power. And the more power you get, the more you will start to realize that more happier your life becomes. That's our design. Or everything that I do, everything that we do it in line with who we are, not against us, not something that is unnatural. So it's not money that you're running after. You're running after your true existence. You're running after your true calling, your true self. That's what you're really running after. So why run away from yourself? By running away from yourself, you only let go of the money as well. You run away from money. And that's not what we want. What forms money take, whether it takes the form of credit or debt, it's the definitions of how you see money. And the money has manifested in the same way in your life. It has just shown up exactly like that. If you've seen money as the source of spending and enjoying your life, irrespective of which source it comes from, you will use credit cards to abuse money. If you see that to build houses, debt-free, never ever have to take mortgage, you will use exactly the same cards and be very clever and plan your way to success.
Right, Sam, thank you so much. That is all we've got time for today. But it was very interesting talking to you. Thank you.
No, thank you very much, Sophie. Thank you.
For everybody else, if you enjoyed the show, then please subscribe, leave us a review, but more importantly, come back for the next episode. Thank you. Sorry, I've pressed the wrong button and nearly cut you off. Done.